Welcome back to Sebring International Circuit, where we look down high above the pits here at this wonderful scene. It's fantastic to see racing fans and racing competitors here at Sebring. A huge field for our first 2021 race of the season. Really looking forward to what should be some great Trans Am coming up, and the qualifying is just about to get underway. But before it does, let's go down to the pit lane and talk to Ben Sissel, who's right in the thick of it on the pre-grid. Down to you, Ben.
So excited to be here at the Sebring Speed Tour to kick off another Trans Am series presented by PETERSON here at Sebring International Raceway, where the Trans Am series started in 1966. A couple of changes. Rafa Matos is back with Doug Peterson in the three-dimensional services group, who we won a championship with in 2018. Thomas Merrill is back in Mike Cope, and he is out for a vengeance. He had a couple of mishaps last year. He was really going to run for the championship. Scott Borchetta is actually Edward Savagian. You got to change that sticker, buddy. Edward Savagian is driving this car, the Big Machine Vodka number 8. Then look at this, Connor Mosack qualifying, it looks like 5th place out here in his time for this qualifying section. Connor Mosack, really, he was a rookie last year, has really impressed us. He's with the Scott Legassi team. And then we've got Michael Self right here. The first silver hair in the crowd, Misha Goikberg for BC Race Cars, is pulling in 4th place. The names in this field in TA2, look at this beautiful car. I think right now, this might be winning for my favorite car in TA2. That's never gonna be mistaken for anybody else. Mike Skeen, 2020 TA2 champion. He had some problems yesterday in his practice, and he's starting way back here. Now, Scott Legassi Jr., come the master. Scott Legassi Jr. back here, well behind Connor Mosack. We'll see where that goes. Keith Prochuk, HP Tuners, back with Mike Cope. He was on and off again last year. Keith Prochuk is really moving up. Then we've got Iron Man Sheehan right there, out with this LTK Insulation Technologies. Tom Sheehan has run more TA2 races than anybody. Look at this, Doug Peterson, Trans Am champion, Rafa Matos teammate, owner, three-dimensional services group. Really excited to be here. Now, one of my favorites, 2nd place last year in the SGT Championship. Adrian somehow Lostovsky is now running the Hawk Performance TA2 car. He didn't even get a chance to test this car. This is his first time out in the car. He went out a little bit yesterday, but look at him. He's doing really well. And I got to give it up for the Fast Auto crew for setting that up. Rhett Barco, he was with us in the E-Series race, Jonathan. You'll remember Rhett Barco. He's out here in this General Lee looking Dodge Challenger. Really great to have him out here. Tyler Casera, he had a brake issue yesterday. He's new to Silver Hair Racing. We saw him last year win in the TA2 series. Misha Goikberg's owner and teammate, Blaze, is out here all the way from Canada with Misha. Blaze, it's great to have you here. We saw Michelle Abadi in that car at Road Atlanta. Blaze is a huge supporter of the TA2 series. And look at this guy right here, Scott Borchetta. Scott Borchetta, new sponsor, Big Machine Vodka, Spiked Cooler. That sounds delicious. You need to go out and get yourself a Big Machine Vodka Spiked Cooler.
Full grid, baby, full grid.
Full grid. Do we have 5? Okay, we're about to go to 5. We've got Steven Lustig. I'm going to kind of go through Autosport. Ty Young with Mike Cope Racing. Maurice Hall, our co-Masters champion from last year. Jim Gallagher, our West Coast champion. Give me a thumbs up, Jim. More TA2 miles from him than anybody else. Bruce Raymond, this is a cool story. Bruce Raymond in a silver hair car that he bought. He's been the SVRA Group 10 champion for the last 2 years. Now he's moved up to TA2. John Cloud has won Masters with us quite a bit. It's so good to have Tim Gray back. Tim Gray is a big reason we go to Brainerd every year. Fantastic event. He's with Ryan, but it's so great to have him back. He had a bad off with us at COTA in 2020. This is a great one here. Al Prieto in the number 99 Ford Mustang. Ike Keeler, one of my favorites, is so excited to have Ike. First race in the TA2 series in this Parnelli Jones Bud Moore looking livery from the HTA days. Really cool to have him. And then Franklin Futrelle somehow is starting in the back. We learned really early on at Road Atlanta at his first race in TA2, he's really fast. Jonathan, I'm so excited to be up there with you. TA2 is back. I'm sending it to the birthday boy, Jonathan Green.
Thank you, sir. Yep, we're looking forward to getting back up here. I don't know how he does it, but we're feeding the good sandwiches. He had a good sandwich, and now he's on full throttle, Ben Sissel. But we are looking forward to this because for the simple reason this is the first time these cars have come out for 2021. Really looking forward to seeing how they run. You saw the new runners and riders, and I'm delighted to welcome our resident historian, JJ O'Malley. JJ, I mean, really strong field, but after the performances last year of Mike Skeen and so many others, it's not really surprising, but in the middle of a pandemic, not bad.
Very good field. We've got all but one of the contenders from last year, and we've got a lot of new faces in there. Franklin Futrelle is at the back of the field, and he had a brake pad issue with the rear brakes, and he's kind of going blind right now. He says going in a little bit blind, but that's what makes it exciting, going out there to qualify. But there are our e-racing star, Tyler Casera,
yep.
Michael Self, 17-time winner in the NASCAR K&E Series and the ARCA Series, including 3 at Daytona. Last year he won on the Super Speedway. He backed it up on the road course. And,
you know, while I got you here, just put in perspective, you know, I wonder what the guys of 66, because we are going back to our roots, who came here to Sebring to kick us all off, as it was the American Sedan Championship, which became the Trans Am Championship. What would they think, and what would they think of this field, you know, 55 years later?
Wow.
But put in perspective why this is such a big deal, Trans Am, that it continues today the way it is.
Yeah, it's where you get to see all the American cars battle against each other and top foreign cars. A lot of big-name drivers. The early days of Trans Am were stacked with the top guys in racing, and we're continuing that today with bringing out a lot of the established and young stars.
Well, like you say, people like Jochen Rindt were here, and they were They were on their way to Formula One, right?
Yes, they were.
Gurney.
Yep, AJ Foyt. Didn't he lead the first lap of Trans Am competition?
Yeah.
He led the first race, I know that.
And by then he had two Indy 500 wins under his belt.
Yeah.
So he wasn't the legend he is, but he was already a legend.
He's getting close, getting pretty close. And then Bob Tullius wound up winning the first race. The Chrysler people told him to follow the 2 Barracudas, but they hadn't counted on AJ Foyt. And so Foyt was pulling away. Tullius threw out the instructions, and he ran down AJ, and AJ had a little bit of a problem, and Tullius went on and won it in a Dodge Dart. That's a car I grew up driving. So it's pretty cool to see them out there winning in Trans Am.
Now, more recent history. This time last year, we're on board with Mike Skeen here. He won this race on his way to the championship, but he got a little bit of luck, to say the least. I say luck, you make your luck in racing. But Thomas Merrill, of course, went off at turn 3 in the dying moments of the race and allowed Skeen to come through, and it happened again at Mid-Ohio. So, yeah, certainly Merrill will not be wanting that to happen again.
No, and they're going to have some company up front. You know, I saw Cameron Lawrence in the paddock. He is looking to get back into the hunt, but Connor Mosak is a guy. Scott Legacy Sr. told me to keep an eye out on him, and he's doing quite well. His son, Scott Legacy, had a tough time recovering from a wreck he had at VIR a couple years ago, and he sat out the end of the season. But Dale Jr. heard about the problem, talked to Scott, set him up with his doctor, and he went in for therapy, and according to his father, it's worked out very well, and Scott is back and up to form. So it's great to see him out there racing in TA2.
That's a really good story. If you can find a good doctor, and I have to say some of the racing doctors are some of the best because they know how to deal with the athletes that are racing drivers, and they are different characters than a lot of them. We head out to qualifying then. We'll have you on board with Rafa Matos, with Mike Steen and Lostowski. We're going to try to give you every angle we can give you as Rafa Matos looking to find the same magic that he got in 2018 that won him the title with this team, the three-dimensional service. Done a bit of Indy, raced at home in stock cars, but Rookie of the Year in Indy Lights, and then you've got people like Mike Skeen who've got so much experience in sports cars. He was doing the Daytona 24 hours just a few weeks ago, and so we've got a real variance of skill level and age and experience level, but it all mixes into some really great racing.
Yeah, it does, and TA2 is the place to be. I saw Joe Nemechek at a recent race. He's looking to get into it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's another thing. We can catch the NASCAR guys on the way down as well. Some of the older guys. We had Billy Elliott racing Trans Am the other week. We should try to get Chase down here.
Yeah, well, definitely. And Ray Abraham. I saw John Cloud is here in the field.
Yep.
Driving the number 41.
Well, he's been racing already. He's done a couple of SVRA races.
Yes, and the last race, his partner and coach, Wally Dallenbach, went out and ran away with that one.
He did run away with it.
And they saw Darren Brassfield in the paddock. Waiting for his burritos. There's a car, one of his old cars is here, but he's not driving it. He's basically hanging out.
One color scheme that might catch a few people as we go on board with Franklin PETERSON, who had a really good run out, just one run out at Road Atlanta last year, but I think he surprised a few people with his pace. He's from Georgia. And I don't think he surprised himself, but he surprised a few people last time out.
Yes, he did. He's looking to try to get in as many as he can this year. So he's hoping to run 4 to 5 races. And then when he's not racing, he wants to have the car here at every race. He mentioned that he might let some club racers drive the car, and his phone started ringing. So he's got a pretty full dance card for this year.
Well, as you heard, he had some brake problems earlier in the weekend. Now, we're on board with Matos, but yeah, FUTRELLE had brake issues yesterday, but he's got that sorted, and hopefully he'll be fine. As we look high and above, we look down on Rafa Matos, putting in some laps. It's a very quick session. They don't get a lot of time on track, and so it really isn't a time to dawdle around. You've got to go in there and set a benchmark, maybe come in, make some adjustments, make some PSI changes, just a little bit of change, maybe an adjustment here and there, but that's all. And then you're back out again. We're on board with Matos, going down the Fangio straight with 11 minutes and 30 seconds. A big weekend for Rafa Matos. I've got a feeling, knowing Rafa as I do, he's a confidence guy. If he can get off to a race win this year, he'll be hard to stop. But if he gets off to the start he got last year and then came good at the end of last year, I think he'll struggle a little bit. He's changed teams again, but this is a place he's familiar with. This is the team he took the title for in 2018.
Yeah, Mike Skeen right now with a 2:10.411 atop the charts, followed by Rafa, Thomas Smirl, Misha Goikhberg, Doug Peterson, and Scott Legacy Jr.
Yeah, no real surprise there. And like you say, everybody putting in a benchmark, if you will. It won't be long before we start to see the times topple.
Yeah, I see Adrian Lostowski in 14th. Adrian's car is a paint scheme tribute to the late Dale Earnhardt, who passed away 20 years ago. And he's got it, and even the way the parts of the car are black, but the inside is red, and he said that's how Earnhardt used to have his Cup cars.
I thought it was great on lap 3 at the 500 where everybody sticks their hands in the air in reference of course, Dale Earnhardt, and really, really good to see that respect. And it was good to see Junior also in that TV coverage talking about his father. American racing, muscle car racing at its finest here. As we take a look at Thomas Merrill, and he will have the bit between his teeth. He totally dominated the race last year and then just made one mistake. I think looking in the mirrors, if anything else, he was just having a check on just how close Mike Skeen and the rest of the pack were, and he just went and ran out of road, and the victory was stolen from the jaws of victory, quite literally, defeat was.
Well, this track really keeps you on your toes. You cannot let off for a minute. It's a little on the bumpy side at places. It's got the old runway, straightaways, and some tight and tricky corners.
And am I right in saying that Alec Ullman basically was trying to kind of simulate a Le Mans feel to it? In other words, have two long straights and have some long, get those muscle cars and get the horsepower going, but then make some tricky parts. But obviously you can't sort of just replicate Le Mans, but he was hoping to build that, and that's effectively what he did. Yes,
yeah, he did, and trying to get the Air Force Base into a peacetime role. And what a better place than to have auto racing. I know at New Smyrna Airport, Bill France rented that to have sports car racing out near Daytona Beach, and other facilities were popping up right around then when the street racing proved to be unfeasible. So then they started building the permanent circuits, and the first of them was here at Sebring.
Yeah, that was 1950, and of course at the same time over the other side of the pond, Silverstone was being christened as the first race for Grand Prix Formula One racing. So a lot of racing started right at the beginning of the 50s and then has never looked back, and here we are. All these years afterwards, still going. Merrill at the top of the times at the moment. Thomas Merrill doing a 206.9, 207.1 from Rafa Matos. Connor Mosack, the youngster, coming good. Scott Lagasse Jr., I'm expecting big things from Scott now this year in the 92. Michael Self in 5th place at the moment, 208. But that record you talked about with Michael Self, I hadn't realized just how much racing he's done.
Oh, yeah. He's quite a guy, and I love the dyno colors. I remember the World's Fair, and Mars Hull was there, and he remember seeing the Cinco Dyno Land. We were talking about that, and he's brought back that sponsorship. I guess at Watkins Glen, just below the racetrack, they have a Sinclair dyno station. So I didn't know that until yesterday. There's Scott Lagasse, hustling his way around the track. Merrill's still on top. Where's Mike Skeen? Okay, he was 10th.
4th now, yeah. He just popped at a good time. 207.5 from Skeen. But he's still, he's almost a second off Thomas Merrill, so there's more work to do as we go back on board with Franklin FUTRELLE of Georgia.
Yeah,
in the Ford.
He's 12th right now. So obviously he's got that brake issue under control. Not quite as good as he wants it yet, but he's definitely gaining on it.
I'm going to keep a watchful eye on Tyler Casera this year. He popped onto the scene after a brilliant esports championship where he's runner-up, but then won at VIR. And so this is a huge opportunity because he's not just doing the odd one-off race. He's doing the full season for Silverhair, already a now established team after a year. So the combination, I think, of Tyler being a young buck and really want to make his name for himself. He's not that young, but he is a young guy when it comes to Trans Am. And I've got a feeling that with that win at VIR with his family team, the move up to Silverhair will really help him, and they are real pros.
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, I've seen guys back into victories like my buddies last Sunday at Daytona, but Michael McDowell won the Daytona 500, a former sports car racer.
Yeah.
But
that was a great victory.
Casera dominated. He really deserved that, and he had a very good run on Sunday in the second race. So he's definitely going to be a guy to watch. You're right about Merrill. He's got something to prove here, and he's currently leading qualifying. He's got a 10th of a second on Rafa Matos.
Yeah, no change at the front at the moment. Misha Goikerberg, the number 10, though, going to 3rd ahead of Mike Skeen, still in 4th. Connor Mosack dropping down to 5th. He hasn't improved. Scott Lagasse Jr. does improve. He goes to 5th now with a 207.7. And now we're starting to see the nitty-gritty come into this with 5 minutes to go. Merrill still out on top with his best lap on lap 4 of 206.524. That's the time to beat.
You know, really surprising me, he wasn't even on the entry list for the race. The number 8 of Ed Savagian. His name's not even on the car. And he's right up there in Last I checked, he was in 5th. Now he's down to 8th, but he's making a very strong showing. Michael Self in the Sinclair Dyno's car is up to 7th.
Yeah, and of course Edward Savagian did a few runs with the Big Machine Vodka team last year, and he's doing the same again this year. So yeah, expecting big things from the Texan, who was on the podium, of course, at COTA a couple of years ago, and he'll be wanting to get that replicated a few times here. Now there's Misha Goikberg, who of course is also taking part in the Daytona 24. This man seems to race in every championship I know. He does so many laps and so many race circuits and so many different series.
Yes, and I remember him in Grand Am Tech Championship. He was a regular there. Now he runs with Meyer Shank Racing on occasions in their Acuras, or he did last year.
Now, Mike Skeen in the pits, not where he wants to be, with 5 minutes or less than to go. So is he just holding his powder, do you think?
I think
there's no work being done.
He's helmet's off. He's done for the day.
Oh, he's done. Okay. Yeah, I can see that now.
Okay. You know, being the historian of Trans Am gives me a lot of time to talk about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s with Tommy Kendall and Irv Hare and Darren Brassfield, Wally Dallenbach. But this is a sport of the present and future with this, especially with the TA2 category.
I think you're right. You know, everybody loves to wax rhapsodic about the greats of their time, but when you look at our, you know, like our qualifying lap records, for example, Ernie Francis Jr., Mike Skeen, these guys are all racing now. And in all time, Ernie Francis Jr. may have only been 22, 23, but he leads Tommy Kendall when it comes to all-out poles in all classes. So, you know, yes, you're right, the names of the past are the greats, but these guys are breaking the records.
Well, not today. Mike Skeen by .013, I believe. Still holds the record.
There you go. Yeah, Mike Skeen with a,
5:13, and today a 5:24.
Yeah, just about holds on then.
So 11/100th of a second.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that is really close. So,
but Merrill's not done yet. Rafa's not done yet.
No, it isn't over by any means. Our top 3 with 2 minutes and 46 to go. Thomas Merrill, Rafa Matos, and Goikerberg. Skeen's parked it. He's happy with 4th, or it's as much as he can do. Lagasse Jr., somebody else in the pits. It's the 01, a wonderfully painted Rhett Barco. I love that car, looking really, really good and ready to take that car to victory lane if he can do it. Good to have these boys back in the thick of it, though, for sure.
Yep.
First time we've seen Adrian Lostowski going up to TA2, having, of course, raced in SGT last year to a great championship with Lee Saunders. Saunders will be happy. Oh, no!
Oh.
Ty Young with damage to the 26.
Yeah, on my research, I researched Ty Young and found a driver by that name who had NASCAR experience, and nope, different Ty Young.
Ah, okay. Well, this Ty Young has damaged the back of that car quite heavily.
Yeah.
The man from Atlanta, Georgia, Mike Cope Race Cars Ford Mustang.
Oh, Mike Cope Race Car, it'll be ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. You don't really worry too much. Mike Cope, of course, does literally arrive and drive situation. So if you are a youngster looking for some time in the car, come on down.
Yep. Adrian, literally his first time in the car was yesterday.
Wow.
Which Ben had brought up earlier.
So several cars now parked up in pit lane. Thomas Merrill still leads the way just outside the lap record of 206.524. Rafa Matos on the front row provisionally. There's the Sinclair sponsored. And I agree with Ben. I love this color scheme. Sinclair Oils getting involved with Michael Self, and that's what's allowed him to be both team manager and to go racing himself in this 3-car team for Silverhair Racing.
Yeah. Now the track isn't as crowded as it was before. Thomas Merrill just took the white flag. He's got one more lap. Try to
take that lap
record. Well, he probably doesn't know about it, but
30 seconds left. Scott Lagasse Jr. brings in the Scott Lagasse Racing car number 92 in, and we get to see 2 views of him. There he is. Gloves are off. The gloves are coming off, and he's taken the helmet off. He's done. But what can Thomas Merrill do? He's already gotten the pole. But can the HP Tuners man go quicker? As we take a look at the number 9, trying to go even quicker. Keith Prochuk is the number 9 that we're watching. He's down in 13th. But Thomas Merrill, as you say, has just caught a flying lap, so he too is looking to improve on his time. Mike Skeen will hold on to his 4th place. He's in the pits, so is Lagasse. Mosak's had his go. Goikerberg had a good run. Here's Mr. 104, Mr. Shaheen. What a great story at VIR. We celebrated his 100th start, and now Shaheen will come across the line to finish his qualifying, and Tommy will finish 12th overall. And still no change at the top. Your provisional front row is Thomas Merrill and Rafa Matos. Goikerberg will start row 2 with Mike Skeen, your champion. Good qualifying for Scott Lagasse Jr. He starts 5th. Connor Mosak, the youngster, is 6th. Edward Savagian is 7th. Michael Self, 8th. Tyler Casera, probably disappointed with that. He's down in 9th, but it's early days in this season, and he is learning along the way in his new team. And Franklin Futrelle, just brake problems yesterday. Keith Prochuk coming into the last corner. Can he improve? He's in 13th at the moment. He'll cross the line now to take the checkered flag. And I don't think anybody else is going to improve. And that means that Thomas Merrill, the man who so nearly won the race here last year, will start in pole position. And a good qualifying session. Very aggressive early on. And everybody jostling for position, which is what we want. And hopefully we'll get a word with Thomas when he comes in. Your thoughts, JJ, on what was a good qualifying session?
Yes, it was. Very competitive. Guys back and forth throughout the entire session. And Merrill wins the pole. You documented his disappointment here last year.
Yeah.
So that is the 2nd career pole for Thomas Merrill.
Yes, which is surprising.
Yes, it is.
As we take a look at one of the silver hard cars, that's the 54 of Bruce Raymond coming across the line.
I remember him from, he's grew up in Salinas, California, right outside Laguna Seca, and always helped us promote the races out there. And he joined the Trans Am 2019 at Road Atlanta, where he started 2nd, finished 28th. His first pole, Lime Rock, 2019.
Let's head down to the pits. Thomas Merrill, our fastest man of the day, is with Ben Sissel.
So currently, I am at Sebring International Raceway with our unofficial pole winner. He qualified 3rd last year, did really well until the end. Sorry to bring that up. But I think you have a 2:06.5, is that correct? How in the world did you do it?
Sorry, say that again. The car just went by.
Yeah, how in the world did you get a 2:06.5 in this competitive field?
Well, we worked hard. We worked hard all weekend, and the Mike Cope crew did an incredible job putting the car together. We learned a lot last year, and coming back to the same racetrack, we just picked up where we left off, and we just got better. Full credit to those guys. Full credit to HB Tuners for being on the car and helping us be here. And it's been a really fun start of the year, and thank you for bringing up my issues last year. My goal tomorrow is to be just drama-free and as clean as possible.
Do you have a lot of weight on these shoulders, like you've got to win this race now?
Oh, absolutely not. No, we're here having fun. That's the best part of this Mike Cope crew, is we're a big family. We're here having fun, and that's really the best thing for us to do, is if we enjoy what we're doing, we're going to do it well, and we're going to be mistake-free.
Nice. Thomas Merrill running for the championship again. Thomas, good luck tomorrow. A lot of strategy here in TA2 qualifying. Unbelievable, these cars coming right by at Sebring International Raceway. Birthday boy Jonathan, I'm going to send it back to you.
So, qualifying for TA2 here at Sebring, round 1. It was a good qualifying session in perfect conditions. New names, new liveries, and a bunch of new guys out there. But Thomas Merrill taking the pole position, Rafa Matos in 2nd, Misha Goikerberg taking 3rd, Mike Skeen 4th, Scott Lagasse Jr. in 5th, Connor Mosak in 6th, Edward Savagian 7th, Michael Self 8th, Tyler Casera in 9th, and Franklin Futrelle rounding out the top 10. Further down, Doug Peterson, Tommy Sheehan, Keith Prochuk in 13th position. Borchetta, Barco, Saida in 16th place. Wostowski comes in his first TA2 qualifying in 17th. Lustig, Young, and Morris Hull. That's right. So qualifying for TA2 in perfect conditions at Sebring International Raceway here in Florida. And from the get-go, everybody was putting in benchmark times because they knew it was going to be competitive. Mike Skeen, the champion, was back to get on the board early on and hopefully go for the win that he got here last year. But in the end, a 2:07.5. He actually pulled in early, but that was all he could do, and that was take him to 4th position. Misha Goikerberg back with BC. Once again, Misha looking really strong in the number 10, a 2:07.1. But that was only good enough for 3rd place overall. And then the battle was on. For pole position, Thomas Merrill had taken the early pole, but Rafa Matos was chasing him hard. Rafa Matos back with a 3-dimensional team in the 88 that he won the title with in 2018. Rafa doing a time of 2:07.000. That would be good enough for a front row start, but no one could stop Thomas Merrill, who wanted so badly to take the pole position, and he even had a chance in the final lap to go for it again, but he didn't improve on his earlier time set on lap 4, which gave him a 2:06.524, almost breaking the lap record, but not quite. But Thomas Merrill won't mind that. He just wants to be on the front row and take the pole position, and that's exactly what he's done here at Sebring Raceway. Thomas Merrill, pole position for TA2 2021, Race 1. We'll take a short break. We'll be back with more action from Sebring in a moment.
Speed, endurance, desire. For 160 years, Motul has helped engines and drivers go faster, further, and stronger. Tested in the heat of battle, driven with passion, with one aim: to give you superior powertrain protection and performance. Motul.
Getting the most out of your Classic can mean many things. That's why Heacock Classic Insurance is excited to sponsor the Trans Am Race Series. In addition to events, we have proudly provided insurance for race cars, classic cars, and exotic cars since 1989. Heacock Classic is known for its famous agreed-upon value, where brokers and clients find common ground on coverage. So make sure to get your quote today. Follow us at #HeacockDriven.
Welcome back to Sebring, and we're looking down on turn 1. My mate Hamish down there on the crane, looking very nice indeed. Good spot to be on a beautiful day here as we get ready for our next qualifying session, which of course will be our multi-class session. With me in the booth once again is JJ O'Malley, and 5 categories in all in Trans Am. And
well, Kent Thwaites moved on from the XGT as champion, and he was just like the... He's got Mr. Corvette, Dan Binks, helping him out this weekend, and who knows how that's going to go. But they won together back in the 1980s, 1983, in a Pro Mazda race at Lime Rock. So they've been for quite a while. But I think the field to watch is SGT has really stepped up. We lost Adrian Lostowski, who moved to TA2, as we just documented. The champion, Lee Saunders, is back from nearby Lakeland, Florida. Local boy. But our GT champion, also like the car count and the competition in SGT, he sold his car and moved to SGT. And one of his rivals in the class, Tim Davison, when he saw that the green car was sold, he went out and got a SGT car. So now they're continuing their battle up to the next level. So James Candelaria from Boca Raton making his Trans Am debut for Adrian Lostowski, and the familiar number 96 Fast Auto Hawk Performance Forge Line Ford Mustang. He's another guy to watch in SGT.
So we turn our attention now to the TA qualifying, which of course is multi-classed with the SGT class and XGT class and GT class. So in a few moments' time, we'll get the cars on track. They're getting ready in the pre-grid. In fact, some of them already out on track. As once again, I'm joined by JJ O'Malley. Ben Sissel will join us later. But we are qualifying for this important session. And like TA2, there has been quite a few changes in personnel, so to speak, for this championship. But it's good news because some really good pedalers have moved up, and I think the one that really sticks out to me, JJ, is Ken Thwaites. Ken Thwaites had a brilliant season last year, and now with the tutelage of the likes of Boris Said, and more importantly, the making of the car by Poncho Weaver, he is in a missile.
Yes, it's a huge step, as Dan Binks admitted, for him to XGT, but he's showing a lot of progress so far today.
Looking forward to seeing what we go on board with Ken right now. He can do. I talked to him earlier in the day, and he said that he improved his time in the first session by 5 seconds, because when he first went out there, and it was his first real glimpse of Sebring and being in a TA car, and he said it just wasn't. It was bouncing everywhere. He said it was like a giant go-kart. He said it was spinning up wheels and getting grip, losing grip, and he said finally we took it back in, dialed it in, and he said, and then the consistency started to come, and he started to feel at home, and he said he loves driving the TA car. But like you say, big step, but a great character. And we all said he should be driving a Camaro. He's got a collection.
Yeah. Hey, Simon Gregg beginning a new career this weekend, as he's now driving the Peter Gregg Foundation Chevrolet Camaro, but it's for Claudio Burton's team.
Right.
A proven team. He's got a great teammate in Tommy Drisi, who was very fast in morning practice today, and Simon's started out a foundation in honor of his father, the Peter Gregg Foundation, and the car is beautiful. Chrome red and black. Tommy Drisi did all the graphics, and it's going to be a super car to watch. Ernie Francis, brand new paint scheme this week.
Yes, Ernie Francis Jr. from Florida, of course, looking for a big season ahead. Do you know he's going to be in 3 championships? He's in the diversity program, obviously, for the FR Championship, which is the new Formula 3 Championship, and he'll be looking forward to going single-seater racing. He's also on a CBS show as well. He's going to be racing with Ray Everingham and his group of really interesting drivers from past and present. And it's great to see Ernie Francis Jr. being part of that as we go on board with one of the favorites once again, Chris Dyson, who has a huge history. We go back to Peter Gregg for a second. Well, that foundation is for engineers, right? What? The foundation is for engineers.
Yeah, the foundation is going to search out the next star mechanics, and I believe it's a $100,000 program. They work in Jacksonville and building up a Porsche race car, which will then be auctioned off. And the foundation is going to find teams to see these up-and-coming mechanics in, so they'll get definite hands-on experience at the team level. So it's quite a project that Simon Gregg has started.
Well, these are real monsters. 850 brake horsepower, if not more sometimes, but it tends to be as far as you can go to get to get the power down, and a great illustration from Chris there. But Chris Dyson, without a doubt, one of our favorites, and he didn't have the best of seasons last year. It was up and down. He was sometimes good, sometimes indifferent, and then he came really good at Road Atlanta, and I think he can have gone into the winter probably with his tail up and looking forward to today.
Adam Andretti started off last year with us with the car painted in the tribute colors for his brother John Andretti. His father, Aldo Andretti over the winter, and but he's here with a great attitude, and he's going to run as many races as possible. He admitted if in the hunt for the championship, it's going to be pretty hard to miss them. So we're looking to see a strong run for John Andretti, and he was quick in practice, and right now he is second to Ernie Francis on the time chart.
But Ernie Francis hits the time with 1:59.665. So the man from Florida who won here last year on his way to his 7th consecutive title. Yes, Michael Schumacher has 7 titles. Yes, Jimmy Johnson has 7 titles, but none of them are consecutive. No, this man has them consecutively, and that is pretty darn impressive. Ernie Francis Jr. still in his early 20s, and he is our sleeping giant, there's no question. And I say sleeping giant because Ernie is probably the most humble guy you'd ever want to meet. He's the most helpful guy. We saw him preparing the car. You'll see yourselves this weekend. He literally puts the car together during the week on his own. Yes. And then the rest of the team come to the racetrack. But Ernie is a one-man band, and he works at it, does all the sponsor work, does everything he can. There's that fantastic color scheme, 43 of John Andretti. Adam Andretti at the wheel.
Yeah, the Breathless Racing team has 4 cars under the canopy, including a few in vintage, and Ernie Jr. does the work on all of them, not only his own car. So he's really getting that hands-on experience.
It's pretty special. And he's right out front as well, setting the time. The first man to go under the 2-minute mark is Ernie. And I'm just looking, he had the lap record here, or does own the lap record, and it's a 1:59.266. So he's not quite there yet, but it's early days yet. Still 8 minutes to go. Tommy Dreese second. Great run from Tommy at the end of last season as he went in chase of the championship points. Chris Dyson currently third, Adam Andretti in fourth, and Justin Marks, also a big part and player, one of the partners in the Nashville race coming up. And of course, Justin Marks, I saw him on the NASCAR coverage. He is running, I'm thinking he's running Daniel Suarez in the NASCAR championship, I think, Justin Marks.
Yes. And Pitbull was a partner.
That's right, and Pitbull, yeah, the team.
And Stanton Barrett and Justin are co-promoting with another partner the races in Nashville coming up.
Yep. So we've got some really interesting players out there as we go on board with David Pintaric coming into turn 1.
Kreider Racing.
Yep.
Tommy Dreese's up to second, and Andretti back up to second.
Wow, so it's all change at the moment with 7 to go. Through turn 3 covers Pintaric, and you really do, from these onboards, get a chance to really experience what it's like to be on the Sebring circuit, the bumps and all. Oh, the Plat 20 almost goes wrong at the hairpin, but somehow he stopped it, but he's right in the middle of the track. Let's hope he can get that going again. We're on board with Chris Dyson. He's fired it up, and he'll get going. But luckily, no harm, no foul, but he just ran out of room, I think, and got sideways. But Chris Dyson back up to speed, but pushing on. Dyson currently third at the moment. Ernie Francis Jr. still out top. And he's just done a 59.224. And that equals his lap record, or does it? 2:66. I think he's gone quicker. 2:24. Yes, he has.
Wow. So
a new lap record then for Ernie Francis Jr., or a new fastest lap in qualifying for Ernie Francis Jr., and that is really good. Oh, that's what happened to Dyson. What's that? What's that look like to you, JJ?
Wow.
Just locked up.
Yep.
It looked like he locked up the rears.
Yes, they kind of shortcutted the hairpin.
Yeah,
it used to be a long one. There's
Greg's
Simon
done the
Gregg.
same.
Look at that. What's the car number? It looks like a 59, but if you look again, it's SG.
Yes, good point.
Tommy Dreese came up with that idea.
Yeah, I like that. For Simon Gregg. I like it. Why not? So he has done very similar. So now people started to take their pit stops.
Is that Ernie?
Yeah, 98 is in the pits, Ernie Francis Jr. And here he is.
That's a totally different paint scheme.
Completely, yeah. Now they're going to paint all 3 of his entries in these same colors. So when he does his single seaters, he'll have the same look.
Oh, okay.
And it's called the Future Star Racing look. And it really is an all-Americana look, isn't it? It's a great paint scheme.
Yes, it is. And the hauler will also be painted up that color.
Yeah.
That's a kind of daunting task.
Yeah, no kidding. If you're new to Trans Am racing, another man going off, this time Greg. And I think that's the replay of what we saw earlier.
Okay, yeah, I could see one car going off, but when you get guys like Dyson and Greg, and it looked like someone else having problems in the same corner, there may be a little help there.
I think Ernie Francis is just coming in to have a systems check, as it were, before he gets back out again. And a few drivers doing that, just
now that
adjusting their
Coca-Cola paint scheme we just saw at the pits, that's Justin Marks.
Yep.
With Tony Ave's car.
Yeah, he could be a factor in this weekend's racing, that's for sure. Back with Pintarik, who is currently down the order a little bit.
Now.
But it's Francis Jr. and Dreesy provisionally on the front row. Andretti just behind, then Dyson, Marks, Greg, Ruman, Pintarik in 8th position, the man we're on board with at the moment, trying to improve his fastest time at 2:04.392. Now you get a chance to see the speed of these cars through the complex. Back on the power. An important corner, this one. Get all the power down the Ullman Straight. You can see for yourself. Top speed of 176 at the end of that straight, and that's pretty darn fast around Sebring. And then into Sunset Bend he comes, and onto the main straight. Time running out though, 3:34. JJ O'Malley and Jonathan Green bringing the action from TA as we get ready for more action coming from our GT classes. And it's good to see Pintarik. He's had a consistent run for the last few years, and he's always a constant factor in that Kydra Racing Ford Mustang. Used to run a Cadillac, I think. And you can see from the bottom right where he's coming into, which is the hairpin, that little red dot donating exactly where he is. So the graphics are absolutely fantastic. The V-Box technology bringing you all the insight into where they are on track. Chris Dyson is back to where he went off earlier in the session, but he's okay at the moment and just winding himself up for a big one. Dyson will be looking to try to improve on his 4th overall at the moment. A 2:01.2 at the moment by Dyson, and that was good enough to be just ahead of Justin Marks. Marks, though, in the pits while Dyson continues to circulate. Out of 10. Into the slight left-hander, then right-hander, almost S through 11 and 12, and then an important corner 13, because it's slow, but you need to get out of here well, because then it speeds up very quickly down the side of the airport. Reaching speeds of what? Over 100 miles an hour. And there you see Ernie Francis's car festooned with his championship wins. It's been an incredible career. And it's the fact that he's so young. It's not that he's achieving so much, but he's breaking the records. And if he stayed with Trans Am, which I can't think he's going to be snapped up pretty soon, but if he stayed with Trans Am, I think he could do another career, come back and add to his record book.
Yes, 23 years old in January. And yet he's going to be taking on the likes of Elio Castroneves, Tony Stewart, Willie T. Ribbs.
Mark Webber.
Mark Webber.
Incredible. That's a series you can see on CBS Sports on a Saturday night, so prime time. So he's going to get some real exposure there, and that's great news for us. Less than a minute to go then, and at the moment, Ernie Francis Jr., the man of the moment and of the championship, leads the way from Tommy Dreesy. Adam Andretti yet to improve. Dyson crosses the line but doesn't improve from 4th. And as the clock ticks down and Dyson comes in, he's done. Looks as though, unless anybody beats him, he's going to be happy enough with that 4th place, but he's not going anywhere. Andretti looks as though he's come in. And he has. the moment, Tommy Dreese is trying desperately to improve on his time. Let's ride with him. First gear out of the hairpin. Opening it up. Fourth gear. Just topping 160 miles per hour as he dives into 10 at the end of the Fangio straight. Quick whip to the left and a quick whip to the right. Dreese pushing hard now with the Lucas mist.
That was such bullshit. Why didn't we have the car on? I go to the bathroom all the time. I'm not blaming anybody, but I just don't understand what that excuse was. You might as well just say, hey, we, get it out in time, that's all. Me going to the bathroom, you guys have been taking the car out for me, and then when I get out, all that Sebring is such a big story. And all coming up on it, all I asked you guys was, hey, can I take a little over? But did anybody...
We're listening in on Tommy Dreese.
That was the fucking goal.
Too much information.
Well, he's, he's as always not happy, but that's the heat of the moment, of course. Tommy Dreese not happy with the timing there. And
no, he's not happy. He's only in second place.
Yeah, I got to say, what's the problem?
Very strong run because he wanted to be P1.
Yes,
this is the 20th pole
for Ernie
in the TA class for Ernie and his 48th career Trans Am pole.
That is really impressive. Once again, Ernie Francis Jr.
Tony Ave has had 21 poles since 2011 and 28 career. Second in all-time poles, Tommy Kendall with 45.
Well, while Tommy talks to his engineer, let's talk to the man of the moment who took pole position as we're down in the pits with Ernie Francis Jr.
All right, here we are. It's going to be super loud as we have Adam Andretti passing us. But I'm here right now with our 7-time champion, unofficial pole winner, with a 159.224. That's got to be a record here or something. Ernie, how does it feel?
Yeah, it feels pretty great. Really good lap for us there. The car's been pretty quick all weekend. We've been running on really old tires. We don't even know where they're from. Finally put a set of stickers on for qualifying and showed the pace that we knew we had. We're always really fast around this place. One of my favorite tracks to come to. And looking forward to trying to get out there in the race tomorrow and starting from the front, trying to take it home and just lead the whole way and get the first win of the season.
Nice.
And yeah, just great to be out here. New colors on the car, new sponsors, Future Stars Racing, Wings and Wheels Foundation. Super happy to be out here with them representing us. Looking forward to making my start in FR later on this year and then the SRX series.
Nice.
Ernie Francis Jr., always a champion here 7 times, and now he starts the 2021 season getting unofficial pole at Sebring International Raceway in TA. Awesome job, Ernie. Jonathan, I'm going to send it back to you, buddy.
Great stuff as we take a look at the results for the TA qualifying. Ernie Francis Jr. with a 159.224, and that's the fastest time, even faster than his own lap record here in qualifying. Tommy Dreese just 0.6 off, but not happy, but he will start on the front row. Adam Andretti, Chris Dyson, Justin Marks in 5th place, Simon Gregg in 6th, despite that spin. Amy Ruman, we hardly saw her, but she starts 7th. David Pentarik, we were on board with him in 8th position. Ken Thwaites opens his account in TA with a 9th place, and Richard Grant in 10th. Jeff Hinkle 11th, and Oscar Taran just behind him. So, a good qualifying session, no question about it. And we've got both in the can now. And
I'd forgotten that the XGT guys, the SGT, GT have their own session.
Yeah, no
Even
kidding.
though they race with them, they qualify separately.
So as we look high above Sebring, let's turn our attention to looking back at what was a really interesting TA session. Well, right from the get-go, Chris Dyson was out for pole position, but he had a spin, did Chris Dyson, in the number 20, and that didn't help things. So that put him behind the 8-ball for a while, but he still got the 4th fastest time. Adam Andretti, just off the front row in the 43, in the same colours as last year. John Andretti colours for his brother. And then Tom Idrisi getting 2nd place overall. On the radio, as always, is the way with Tom Idrisi. But the number 8 taking a provisional front row start. And Ernie Francis Jr., well, what can you say about this man? Ernie Francis Jr., again, in brilliant form, getting the fastest lap of the qualifying session. He is the lap record holder, but Ernie Francis Jr. did it again in style. New colours and 3 championships this year, but Ernie Francis Jr. will be pole position for the first race of the year in TA. We'll take a short break. We'll be back from Sebring in a moment.
Getting the most out of your Classic can mean many things. That's why Heacock Classic Insurance is excited to sponsor the Trans Am Race Series. In addition to events, we have proudly provided insurance for race cars, classic cars, and exotic cars since 1989. Heacock Classic is known for its famous agreed-upon value, where brokers and clients find common ground on coverage. So make sure to get your quote today. Follow us at #HeacockDriven.
Lightweighting means reducing mass and consolidating parts. No one tackles these design and tooling challenges better than 3-dimensional services. We'll provide flexible tooling solutions, including integrating parts, reducing design complexity, or even design changes. We're the go-to source for rapid manufacturing and low-volume production. Trust 3-dimensional services to develop the most efficient approach to meet your lightweighting challenges today. 3-dimensional services. Prototype, production, proven.
Welcome back to Sebring. It's been a beautiful day here, absolutely glorious weather and a fantastic scene at this iconic track. And as you can see, we are getting ready for our next action on track. And our next action on track will be XGT coming up in a moment. So we turn our attention now to SGT, and this of course is the production-based cars, or the GT Grand Tourer versions, and very much in keeping though. We were talking about this earlier, JJ. You know, this is how the championship began. It was a production-based championship beforehand, so we're almost doffing our cap towards the history here with SGT, aren't we?
And also some foreign manufacturers, the import cars. You got an Aston Martin Vantage in the field. And I don't know, in the past we had a few Porsches and Audis also, but still it's dominated by Ford, Chevy, and Dodge. Big 3. Loving car, that's an interesting story. Justin Oaks has been very fast. And towards the end of last year, by switching motors, he was able to go from XGT to SGT. And did very well at the finale at Road Atlanta. Our defending champion is back with us. Number 84, Lee Saunders, on a Dodge Viper.
Yeah, Lee Saunders, a big fan of the Dodge Viper, and he definitely snaked his way to another brilliant championship last year. He's from Florida, and I saw him at the beginning of the weekend, his tail up and looking forward. Planes taking off in the background, cars coming at us in the foreground. Just what we want from Sebring. And Lee Saunders definitely will be again one of the favourites here in SGT. But the likes of Billy Griffin and a few others, Stephen Davison, these are all guys that are capable. John Bokum, another man more than capable of taking it to him, as is Aaron Pierce.